Okay, so in previous videos I showed you how to send and receive title data in PlayFab. The problem is that sending a huge amount of data as separate keys is not a good idea and may cause you problems. Today I'll show you how to use JSON to send and receive multiple data at once. Okay, so here as you can see, I've created a very simple template project where you can change properties of a few different characters. I also have these two buttons that will send and receive character data. Let's start by creating a class for our character data. I click on this character box and open an attached script. Here, to create a new class, type public class character, open brackets, and create all necessary fields. Public string name, public float level, and public float health. Now, let's create a simple class constructor. Type public character and pass the same values. String name, float level, and float health. Open brackets, and finally properly assign these values. This.name equals name, this.level equals level, and this.health equals health. Okay, our character class is done. Now let's move on to the character box. Here I like to create a new method that will return class for this object. So type public character return class, open brackets, and then create a new object using our constructor. New character, and pass in values from the UI. So name input dot text, level slider dot value, and health slider dot value. I'll also quickly add a method that will get character class and properly set the UI. Type public void set UI with parameter of the character type named character, open brackets, and assign all UI elements to correct class variables. So type name input dot text equals character dot name, level slider dot value equals character dot level, and finally health slider dot value equals character dot health. Great! Now it's time to visit our beloved PlayFab Manager script. Here I have copied the save appearance script we've created in the third episode to get player data and renamed it save characters. It basically sends a request to PlayFab with dictionary keys to update. I'll create a new key called characters and the value character class out of character box. So type character boxes index of 0 dot return class, right? Unfortunately, it's not that simple. So in the dictionary, we need to define a string value, but our value is a class object. To convert it into a string, we need to use JSON. JSON is basically a text file that is readable for both computers and programmers. To work with JSON, first we'll need to import a JSON library to Unity. I suggest using this Newtonsoft one that works great with our engine and supports almost all devices. To install it, firstly go to the website linked in the description and copy this bit of code. Then go to your Unity project, right-click on the packages and select Reveal in Finder or Show in Explorer on Windows. Then in the Packages folder, find manifest.json. Open it and replace these two lines of code with copied ones. At the end, it should look like this. Save your file and go back to Unity. You'll see that Unity automatically started downloading our package. When that is finished, we can go back to our script and import JSON library. At the very top, type using Newtonsoft.JSON. Then go back to our save characters method, and before our class, type JSON convert dot serialize object and pass in our class. Now we can actually test it. Save your script, go back to Unity and run the game. I'll now press Send to PlayFab button. As you can see, here in the console we have a success message, so go ahead and open your PlayFab dashboard, click Players in the sidebar, select your player, and finally player data title. And as you can see, here we have our JSON file. Actually, if you press that JSON button, you can view it in more readable form. Now, let's quickly go back to our script and modify it to send all character data. Before the request, type list of character type named characters equals new list characters. Then, for each var item in character boxes, open brackets, characters that add and pass in item that return class. That lines of code mean that our game will go through all the character boxes, return from them character class, and finally add them to this list. In fact, we should now replace this one character with a character list. Great. Now save our script, go back to Unity, play our game, change some values, and as before, click this red button. After a successful message in the console, let's go back to the web browser and refresh PlayFab website. As you can see, we now have all 3 characters saved as a JSON array. Great! The only thing that we are missing is getting JSON from the server. Go back to our PlayFab manager script, and similarly as before, I have here 2 methods from the third video. Get characters, which is triggered on button press and sends a message to server to return all player data, and on characters data received, which is triggered after successful data is received. Let's look at the second one. Here we need to check if received data is valid. So type if result.data does not equal null and result.data that contains key characters. Open brackets. And here we need to deserialize a JSON and assign correct values to each character. So type list of a character class named characters equals JSON convert that deserialize object, and here specify what type of an object it is. So in our case, type list character. And finally, pass in our JSON string. So type result.data and in square brackets characters that value. You can now see how we first serialized this list into a JSON string and then deserialized JSON string back to the list. Now, to finish things off, let's go through all character boxes and send to them new values. Type for int I equals 0, semicolon, I is less than character boxes dot length, semicolon, I plus plus, open brackets, and here type character boxes of the I index dot set UI and pass in character of the I index. Finally, to finish coding for today, in onLogin success method, call getCharacters to get proper values on the game start. Whoa, that's the end of the coding for today. Simply save the file and go back to Unity. Now, when I'll run the game, you'll see that our data is loaded from the server and all the character values were changed. We can even test it even more by changing some of the names, sliders, and clicking that Get from PlayFab button. All values are now back to the first state. And that's it for this video. Be sure to subscribe if you like to be notified about any future PlayFab videos, and don't forget to like the video to see more such tutorials. See you in the next one.